Hey guys, Be Twice here. Today is Thursday, July 22nd. Another day in the market, and another little bit of a continuing to ride up a little bit here. So before I get started, I just wanted to discuss. I tried to make some changes to my background and also to how I am recording this to try to make it more clear. So, if you guys give me feedback on if it's easier to read the charts, if you're putting it on a TV or if you're just blowing it up to the full screen on YouTube on your computer or if you're using your phone, if you could put a comment and give me some feedback on that or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if it's garbage, something, just so I know if it is getting a little bit better. Um, and then hopefully you guys can read everything that I'm doing here. So with that being said, let's get started. We're going to take a look at SPY. There's some good things I'm seeing and some bad things I'm seeing. The first good thing I'm seeing is that we continue to have really, really good earnings roll in after hours, and we are pumping. QQQ is knocking on the door of all-time highs, and SPY is continuing to run up. I did not personally see this run up going up as fast as it has, and knocking on the door of all-time highs so quickly. So basically what I'm seeing so far is that we're coming down for a way forward. Either we've found our bottom, which I said yesterday, I do favor that. I do think that our bottom is in, but it's not guaranteed until we pass all-time highs. I do favor that, but basically what I'm seeing is that we had a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and we're popping up for a 5. So soon, somewhere up here, we're gonna have a backslide and we're gonna get a dip to buy. Best case scenario at this point is that we rally in the morning and we break all-time highs, and then we get a pullback from all-time highs. If we break all-time highs, that's going to tell us that obviously our bottom for wave 4 is in, and then we're looking for a wave 5 top. Based on how earnings are and everything's pumping, it would be nice to get a little fake out of a blow off top and come down and get a 3 swing down and look for our wave 2 bottom, because at that point I would be inclined to say it's a wave 1 and not a wave 5 top, and that we'd be pulling back for a 2, and then that's where our buy zone is. So at these levels, you don't want to be opening call options. Obviously, we want to wait for a pullback, and we haven't got that. So if you're looking to get into individual, or if you're looking to get into the market, your better bet is to find good setups in individual stocks versus the indices right now, just because they're on this ripper. So um, one of the bad things that I see, I've drawn some lines on down here on where I'm showing volume. So when we were dropping, so the market was selling off, we were doing so on increasing volume. That's telling us that the volume is confirming the trend. The trend is down and the volume's increasing. So that volume's confirming the trend. Also, we have the bearish divergence going on down there. So then now look what's happening on this melt up, right? So this melt up packet popping back up towards all-time highs. We're doing so on decreasing volume. The volume is not it's not confirming the trend. That is not good. That doesn't mean that we're not going to break all-time highs. It doesn't mean anything yet. It just means that obviously we're melting up on low volume, which is not a great sign. We need something to really pump this market. Now, after hours, it looks like we're rolling because all these great earnings are coming in. That might be enough just to throw us over the top, and we may see us go up to all-time highs on some pretty big volume tomorrow. Let's hope that happens, because that will kind of confirm that, hey, soon there's going to be a little bit of a pullback from people taking profits, and that's where we're going to want to make our entry, because we need to see a 3 swing down to make an entry. Obviously, we entered down here because we saw an ABC move, meaning that's a good entry spot. Right now, we're in an impulse up. It's too big of a gamble to get in, because if you happen to get in the top of this wave 5 or even X, you're going to get blown out on the way down. So we want to wait for our 3 swing to get in. The bear count still stands as long as we are below this red dotted line. So basically 438. Until SPY passes 438, the bear count still stands, and we could top somewhere up here, and then we could ultimately fall all the way back down here somewhere in the 410 range, and then our wave 4 bottom will be down here. So be mindful of that. We're seeing some good things, we're seeing some bad things. It kind of looks like we're seeing some bearish divergence again on the RSI up top too, where I've kind of drawn this channel. So we want to be mindful. We don't want to go long SPY just yet. We want to wait for dips to buy. It's just too much of a risk right now, and you're really trying to squeeze water out of a rock there. So, all right, let's move on to QQQ. I'll zoom in a little bit more on this one. Okay, so I don't like how that zoomed in. So we won't zoom in. Okay, guys. So let's look at QQQ real fast. So basically in QQQ, we've gone up, we've topped for a 3, and it's the same thing. We're pulling back for a 4. Now, QQQ, the 4 has already gone all the way down to the 50% retracement. We had an ABC move, so an ABC. And right now, it's the same exact thing. We're either in a 5-wave move to the upside where we're going to break all-time highs and it's going to be a 1. That's what I'm favoring. And then once we hit our 1, we should get a 3 swing to the downside. That's going to be our buy zone. It might not be all the way down here at 357. By the time we top, if we don't top until 370, that 3 swing down might only take us to 365. But either way, we want to make sure that we're buying a dip on a 3 swing to the downside because it's a higher probability trade. So that's what we're waiting for. But it is good to see that right now QQQ is knocking on the door of all-time highs. This purple line's all-time highs. Once we pass that, we know our wave 4 bottom is in and that our wave 4 down here that this was a valid bottom, and we can delete this W, we can delete this or X, and we can delete this Y, and then we don't have to worry about us coming somewhere down in this 345 range. So if we break all-time highs, then the bottom is in for 4. I really like saying that the bottom was in for 4 right here, so hopefully I'm right on that. With that being said, I'm not seeing anything negative just yet. Now, the volume's still decreasing, and that's not good, so that's a negative sign. But I'm not seeing anything negative yet here on the RSI. All right, so IWM. The one negative that I did see today, and I tweeted, was that we're seeing some weakness again in small caps. So we're seeing some divergence between the indices. It seemed to not matter towards the end of the day. Obviously, we had a sell-off midday, and we were able to rally hard out of that. So what that makes me think is that we're trying to find our one top for IWM. I'm saying the bottom is in back here, and that we're in a 5-wave impulse to the upside, a 1, 2, and either we have a small 3 and a 4 here, and this was already 5, and we're seeing a 3 swing down to find a bottom for 2, or we might see another rally back up here into like the 225 range and then have a dip. So we really need to just watch this a little closely. I don't like saying that this was a 2 bottom here. It'd be extremely shallow. If this was the 5, and then I'm calling this the 1 and this the 2, that's really shallow, and I would definitely wait for another swing to the downside to enter. But we'll watch it closely, and I think it's going to really matter how the rest of the market is doing, and if the rest of the market's going to rip to all-time highs, or if it's going to have a little slight pullback next week during tech earnings. So we'll continue watching this, but we want to make sure we see a clear 3 swings down to get an entry. So even though I'm drawing this as a 3, a 4, and popping up for a 5, if I'm wrong on this count, which is very possible, if we pop a little bit back up tomorrow and then we sell off down here somewhere into the 215 range, that's a clear 3 swing, an A, a B, and a C. If we see that, then my buy zone is going to move to here, because I'm going to say that this right here was a 5, which was a 1. We had an A, a B, and we pulled down for a C. This is a high probability area. So that's really what you're looking for when you're drawing these charts. You're looking for these 5-wave impulses up where you can see 5 waves, which technically in here I could count 5. I don't favor that. I think this is a 3. But I could count 5, meaning if I see 3 swings down here and I go pretty low and it looks to be about a 61.8% retracement, then I'm going to favor this to have been wave 5 top, and this to be, so that's a 1, so this is a 2. And that's the thing about wave theory, guys. It's not perfect. You never know what you're looking at until the chart pattern is basically done. It's all about trying to find the highest probability of the pattern and then using every indicator that you have at your disposal to try to confirm your bias. If you can confirm your bias and then you take a trade based off what you're thinking, that's how you succeed. If you don't try to take a trade based on buying the dip, or you're not actually using any indicators or technical analysis, then you're basically just gambling, or you're just investing long term. But if you're doing with options, it's basically just gambling. So with that being said, I do like IWM. I do think all dips are buys, but we really want to see this 3 swing to the downside. I think down here a lot of buyers will be waiting if we get there, but I do ultimately think we're going to pop up to 225. Then we're going to see our downside. So we'll keep watching this on a daily basis, and we'll get our entry when the time is right. And I will tweet when I do make my entry. Okay, so let's look at Etsy. Somebody actually requested this from me yesterday, and I thank them because I made a ton of money on Etsy today, and I probably wouldn't have if they hadn't tweeted. Just kidding, but either way, basically what I'm seeing going back to the first time I put out a video on Etsy is we were watching this triangle breakout down here, and I was talking about how it was going to rip. And then what do you know? Voila, it ripped. It ran all the way up to our wave one price target, which was 206. Second we hit there, we sold off. Very common. That was an algo sell target. So I took profits before we even got there. A lot of times when you find your wave three or wave five price targets, a lot of times you want to take profits a little bit before you get there, because sometimes you'll get there in pre-market or after hours and then you'll dump, and other times the algorithms will sell before you can even do anything. So that's why a lot of times what I'll do is I will start to trim profits on the rip up, and then if I'm looking to completely exit the position, if I see a clear five waves or close to it, I'll just completely exit. But with that being said, what am I looking at Etsy? So we had our wave one top. I talked about this before, and that we were in a process of an ABC move to the downside. Now, originally when I was making videos on this, I'll admit I was wrong. I was calling this A right here the dip to buy in several videos, and I told people that was going to be bottom. I was clearly wrong. We ended up having this as an A, popping up for a B, and then ultimately moving down for a C. So why am I convinced that the C was a bottom? So now I take an extension from the top of this wave one down to the A, and you extend it from B. We bottomed at the 100% extension. This is the most common place to find your wave C bottom. And I'm saying, hey, Etsy's not going to be a complex correction. I think they're going to blow earnings away coming up. They got sold off because of they didn't give guidance during last earnings, and so I think they're beat up. There was no great reason for it, and I think ultimately they're going to rally. So, with that being said, what are we seeing now? So, it does appear that we did have our bottom. We popped up for a one, we pulled back for a two. So, I'm seeing this whole structure as a wave three. Very common because you can see big rips. Huge jump up here, huge jump up here. So, this is a wave three right now. It's a minute wave three, but it's a wave three nonetheless. We're going to, somewhere up here, we should pull back for a four if we didn't already see it today. Technically, you could say this was a three and this was a four. I'm not seeing that. I think we're going to have a little bit of a slight pullback. From there, this is not a dip to buy. From there, I think we're going to rally up for a five, which is going to be another wave one of a higher degree. We're going to then pull back. And when we do this pullback, I think this is the dip you buy. We should see a three swing down. That's going to give us a two. When this happens, we're going to be in a wave three of this red wave three. I see that taking us to somewhere into the 230 range, maybe even higher. So I'm long Etsy. I did trim some profits today just because we did rip pretty big at open and I was up a lot. And I know the market's kind of in a weird spot, but I'm going to be looking to put the money I took off back in when we have this downswing, if I'm lucky enough to see it. So that's what I see with Etsy. I do think three swing dips are a buy. So we're going to look at Airbnb. So let's get a better zoom in on this real quick. All right, so let me edit this really fast. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. So either way, so what am I seeing with Airbnb? So I'm seeing this back here as bottom. I have another video out there somewhere that I explained that I thought that this was a wave two bottom, and then I was looking for an entry somewhere in this range, and ultimately I ended up stopping out because it broke out of my my uptrend line. But with that being said, so what are we seeing now? So now we've come down to this 85.4% retracement, and it is the 100% extension, A, B, and you extend from B. So it is also the 100% extension. So I'm saying this down here is wave two bottom. After a comment was said about Airbnb, I really started looking at it. I noticed this whole week it was really ripping to the upside. So I was like, oh crap, man, like I better keep an eye on this. I'm going to take an entry. I'm going to take an entry in Airbnb when we sell off a little bit. So I continue watching, and ultimately what I was seeing today, and I tweeted that I took an entry of a small position, and I'm going to explain why. What I'm seeing is a minute five waves up for a one. So we had a one, a two, a three, a four, and a five. So I'm seeing this as a wave five top today, and we sold off at open. When I saw that we sold off at open, I was like, okay, here could be my shot to go long Airbnb. If the market continues ripping, which right now it's at 140 after hours, I knew if the market continued ripping, we could have had a very, very shallow wave two bottom here where we bounced hard off this 38.2% retracement. So when I saw us bounce off this 38.2% retracement today, I took my first entry with half of a position. So half the money I wanted to allocate towards Airbnb, I got in. So why did I do that? Well, because the highest probability trade is a three swing, so an ABC, or 7 or 11. There's only one. So if I was to go to the 5 minute, maybe I could see three swings, something in there. But either way, I've come down to 38.2% retracement. And I was like, you know what? This could potentially be a bottom, even though it's a higher probability trade down here. And I like Airbnb so much because of how beat up it is that I was like, I'm going to get back in now. I'm not going to wait. I'll use half my money now. And if I get lucky enough to come lower down here, I'll use the other half to average in, and then I'll have my full position. And ultimately, if we don't come down and see this, then I'll just let that half the money ride and I'll just keep a couple calls instead of doing the full trade that I wanted to, just because I want to buy the dip. So selfishly, I want Airbnb to come back down to the 135 range. I just don't think it's going to happen. I do think all dips on Airbnb are a buy. So what is my price target? Well, if we do pull all the way back for this wave 2 bottom at 135, the price target's going to be right around this 154 range, which for a wave 3 that is, which look at this. It happens to be the resistance that we couldn't get above back for our original wave one. So what I think is going to happen is that's where we're going to rally to. We're going to get right around this 155 range. We're not going to break above it. We're going to pull back for our four, which is going to bring us back down to 145, and then ultimately we're going to head up into the 160s. So there will be more dips to buy. We'll keep watching this name. I like Airbnb long term. Originally, I wasn't going to take an entry in it until we got a little bit higher, until I continued digesting the price action this week, and really looking at the chart and realizing that, I do think that this is a high quality setup. Okay, so that's Airbnb. Let's take a look at AMD real fast. Okay, so I went back and recounted AMD based on the price action I was seeing. I've been long AMD the entire time, so I bought back in here. I was taking profits as we were running up, and obviously I'm long shares. And then as we were coming down for this three swing, I saw this as a buy zone, and I got back in with calls. So what is happening right now? So I think that we've actually found a two bottom. So because we came so low and close to 61.8, I'm thinking that even though before I was saying this was my wave one up here, I'm thinking that we've already found our wave one, and now it's just have we identified our wave two bottom. So there's two things I see happening. Yes, this is still a buy zone because we had a 1, 2, 3. See how we rallied hard off of this ABC? We rallied hard from this 100% extension. So no matter what, we're going to get some upside. But what am I seeing? I'm seeing an impulse. So I'm seeing a five-wave impulse. So either we're going to see a five-wave impulse up to an A, pull back for a B, and go up for a C, and we're going to ultimately end up falling short and go lower, or we're going to see a five-wave impulse up for a one, pull back, and then rally again. So I'm favoring the bull count, meaning that this right here was a wave two bottom, and that we're popping up for a one. So we're in a wave one of a wave three. From here, I see us coming lower to this range. And when this happens, this is going to be a dip buy spot, because from there, we're going to rally to 100 a share. That's going to be our wave three price target. Then we'll pull back, and then ultimately we're going to head into the hundreds for all-time highs. I see this stock somewhere in the next couple months in the 110 range, but it's really going to be dependent upon the earnings that we have coming up. The earnings could really send it, or really send it to the downside. So we'll see what happens here, but there are a lot of promising earnings coming out right now, so we'll see what happens. Now, if my count before was right, and really this we're looking for a wave four, it would still be possible to come somewhere down in this range as well. So just be mindful of that it does look like there's going to be some really good upside in AMD, but where we kind of stand in the waves count right now is still kind of spotty, just like it is with basically the indices. All right, so let's look at Walmart. Okay, so Walmart's something that I have been high on for weeks, and I've been putting videos out that it's very slow moving, so it needs to have time, but I do think at some point it's going to break this 142 resistance and just rally. Right now we keep hitting this resistance up here, not able to get above it. But what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing it coil. So I'm seeing a 1-2, a 1-2, and that we're coiling in this wave 3 and we're about to launch. I do see Walmart going to 150 a share. I just don't know when. My options are for September, just to buy time, because I don't know if it's going to take earnings to really send it. But now we're starting to coil. So we're broken above this downtrend line, or we're kind of hovering. I guess we did break above it. We fell below it. Now we're kind of holding it. And we're in between strong support and strong resistance. So we're coiling in here. The RSI is coiling. So we really want to watch this. If we break the RSI to the downside, that's not good. If we break it to the upside, that's great. So hopefully we can break it to the upside, and we can really rally out of this this triangle and hit our wave 3 price target of 150. All right, so the last stock I'm going to look at today, guys, is Disney, because I have a lot of people ask me about Disney. And I talked about how important it is to sell the rips. Disney was a perfect example of why you sell the rip, right? If you were holding call options for this run up, you got to take your initial investment off the table, or otherwise you just lost all your money, especially on this drop. that plus the time you've wasted in between, you'd be nuked. So with that being said, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a 1, a 2, nest, 1, a 2. So the question becomes, have we bottomed for a deep 2 already, or are we going to come back down and test this or even go a little bit lower? That's why I have this circle, because wave 2 could be anywhere in here. It just can't pass this 169 range. I don't see Disney going there. I'm hoping that it will catch some steam here. I'm surprised it hasn't, given the fact that the market's been rallying. But it's kind of been lagging a little bit. So what do I think is going to happen? I do think it's going to pull down a little bit more. Hopefully it doesn't go too far. And I think that just like last time, it's just all of a sudden going to rip. The question is when, and hopefully it happens soon here, because I still do see a price target of somewhere in the upper 190s for our wave 3 price target. Okay, so yes, that was all that I have for today, guys. If you could be so kind to please give me some feedback on whether or not you can, perfectly see everything that I'm showing you, or if you have any tips or pointers or something I could do that would, make it easier for you to be able to tell exactly what I'm doing or talking about, that'd be great. The one other thing that I did leave off on Disney that I don't like is the bearish divergence on RSI. So we need to break above that. So with all that being said, guys, if you like these videos, go ahead and hit a like and subscribe.